goes within the seventh stanza of the Vishnu Sahasranama. It goes as Agrahya Shashvata Krishno Lohitaksha Pratardhanaha Prabhutta Strikakubdhama Pavitram Mangalam Param. Mangalam Param is supremely auspicious. Mangalam means that which gives auspiciousness or Shubham. Param means supreme, like in the Param Atma. The Lord is supremely auspicious. When you follow the righteous path and think of Him constantly, His grace visits you and you experience the auspiciousness the very next moment. We continue to the next one and spend more time there today. Eesaanah, one who controls and commands everything. The stars, the air, the environment, the ocean, the earth, the plant life, the animal kingdom, and everything else is automatically following his ordinance. The universe is the greatest automated system. All rules and regulations governing its administrations are wired directly into its functioning. The Lord has absolute control over his power of illusion or Maya. We'll spend a little more and maybe borrow some from Amar Chitrakatha and get a better appreciation of this name and its context to us. So here it's talking about everything is ordained. There is a rule through which the balance is maintained, which is, the automation is wired into the very functioning of the universe. So one could reason further and say, hey, we as humans also belong into this bigger design of the universe. And that means if there is some kind of ordained way where planets rotate around a sun, and the solar system comes into being, that sun itself seems to be rotating around another center, which means the planets are also spinning in a different way around a bigger center. So there is this rule of how gravity works, how one planet has influence over the other, and which is where astronomers have predicted that, okay, Earth has come up with 365 days, it comes into rotation. So that's some one kind of rule. You also see them predict of Neptune is going to be visible. You talk of how the moon is going to have a certain phase. So everything has got a rule through which it is uh, ordained to function. And based on those rules is when the astronomers are studied and they come up with predictions of how and when things will appear, even if those were to appear 70 years from whenever it was last sighted. Uh, but overall, you would one want to question is, okay, well, then what's the rule within me? So you would find that there is a balancing system within our own design called, what I think the human science calls it, the homeostasis, which means you have an imbalance and things come back to normality very quickly. If you're hitting a gym or running around, your heartbeat goes up, but as you rest, the heartbeat comes back. It doesn't go to zero, but it comes back and stabilizes at the same spot. Same with blood pressure, same with the blood that you draw, and it functions in order to balance out the amount of oxygen, iron, and other contents within it. So now comes the other argument. Okay, so he's controlling the environment, he's controlling the homeostasis. Then, if all of this is him, then what is my purpose? Right? It comes to a very intriguing point of saying, what is my purpose then? And that's where you could perhaps see that there is a mischief, I will call it the mischief, God has done. And that mischief, you could say, is the insertion of himself into the human body. I think uh, uh, in our earlier conversation, we saw of how the particle physics scientist came in and talked of his experiences with the God in the very world, that environments that he is seeing in his experiments in the Hadron Collider. And one could say, as in religion, I'll repeat this twice so that we just register with ourselves. In religion, this spirit we call God. In religion, we call this spirit called God. In spirituality, we call it Atman. In spirituality, we call the same force Atman. And in the whole science world, that is called as the field. So, field, Atman, God are perhaps different synonyms that you could say to the nature's doing. So, overall, there's this whole thing called Atman. Then comes the thing, what is my purpose? That's where we started. I think one of the evolutionary scientists who talks about the human evolution tells that if we have come to a point as humans, we have been endowed better than any other mammals in the whole evolutionary space. And as those highly endowed animals among the mammals, it's time that we commit ourselves to move from quantity. Like other mammals, they're supposed to consume food, reproduce, and sustain. So essentially, be there, don't obliterate yourself, is what the mandate is. And they only procreate or multiply in quantity. What is now upon humans is to move towards quality, right? Our purpose of quantity is over. We have hit a fair spot. Now, the demand we need to ask of ourselves is to move towards quality. Now, what is quality? So, quality is where you could commit yourself to say fulfillment. I need to be feeling, yes, I am really achieved what I wanted to. So now, in order to accomplish any fulfillment, is where it is a journey, right? It's never just happens in one way, and that's where I think we'll just borrow quickly from our friend Nachiketha from the Amar Chitrakatha. He too goes into this whole story of the whole story goes into of him saying what is the purpose of one's life. Is human body is all it is. You take birth and you die, and as in pursuit of that truth as to is it reborn, not reborn, is all those questions that he has. And in our earlier conversation too, we fairly recognize where, with all proof provided, the scientist said, I cannot agree about reincarnation, but with the proof you have produced, I'm unable to deny it either. Anyway, so we're coming back here is Nachiketa, where he's seeking from Yama, and Yama very earnestly he sees, okay, this little mentee has come to me asking for mentorship and guidance. Is he really ready for this? He doesn't look ready. So he tells him that, you know what, why not you take these other things? I'll give you the Porsche car, right? I'll give you the ability to own the Maserati. Gives you the best of chariot. Not only that, I will have Maria Carey be your friend. She will come and sing to you in the parties that you're going to host. You will have the best of friends and the best of parties. And he says, no, those I don't want. I want to know the truth with the very purpose that I've come. And Yama goes on to give something very beautiful. And this has stuck to me since childhood. And I, of course, over time of not narrating it, has eroded a bit in my memory, but we'll try a bit to see if I could. Yes, so there you go. So Yama gives a very nice analogy and compares it to something, right? And we are here trying to see Eesaanah, which is someone who's controlling everything. It goes as Atmanam Ratinam Viddi, Shariram Rathamevatu, Buddhim tu Sarathim Viddi, Mana Pragrahamevacha. So, out here you have to make a journey, and a journey of fulfillment. And he beautifully takes it for any journey, you need a vehicle. And that chariot is the context in which it is captured. And that chariot has to have a good horse. And it also needs to be controlled well through the reins, because you got more than one horse for you to take to a powerful or tough journey, maybe climbing a hill. So you need more than one horses to get through the tough journey, and it has to be controlled well through a rein, and that rein you need a good driver to whom you can rely upon, and then is when your journey will be fulfilled, is if we were to take that analogy. But here he puts a horse to the five senses that we have, indriyas, and there is a nice way, I think even Vishnu Sahasranama we just concluded also uh, Lords or appreciates this. So, but let's focus on this and try to get a better grip on what this Atmanam Ratinam Vidya is. So you have a horse, which is the five senses, and those horses are controlled by the reins, and the reins are compared here by Yama to the manas. So you have to control that. In other words, the horses that you have should be really potent. You can't have a very inert senses. You want really good ones to enjoy life. It has to be potent, but at the same time, like a driver who has to be mentally alert to other things that are happening around the driving path, you need the sarathi to be alert, and so should you be mentally very alert as well. And from there on is when you need to be controlled. That manas is there in the reins. You can't have a weak reins that you pull and it suddenly breaks, but you also have to be controlled by the sarathi, the buddhi fellow, who has to use his discrimination as to how to manipulate. So you can't have a drunkard guy driving, right? You have to have a completely alert person, very cognizant of that, who can control and regulate through the reins of the manas, or in other words, he has the ability to say no. He doesn't respond to every whistle like a pet would respond to, or every click of a door a pet would respond to. This buddhi that we need to develop should have the discrimination of saying no. So, but who gives these impulses? The buddhi or the wisdom is where it's established, and it has to have the radiance to guide and follow them. So only then this journey, which is where the Atma is sitting, you recognize that once you control the outgoing tendencies, the outer energies no longer control the inner energies. The inner energies become more radiant, and you control the external energies that tend to control you. Uh, let's go own this other new thing. Let me go buy this new other dress. All those won't control you anything, because your senses are very well ordained by the buddhi, who is in the guidance of the radiating power of your Atma, who is the God Himself who is sitting in. I want to share the um, quote by Eddington, who's also an astrophysicist, in his uh, you know, fathoming of the universe. But we'll do that another day. I want to conclude that quickly, about 2 seconds more. So overall, then is when the journey that you have had, when you have a very well controlled senses, who goes out on your guidance, on your reins that you're holding, and that is not guiding you. So only when you have that is when your journey is fulfilled. You move from quantity of taking, I want one more car, or I want one more house, towards quality of growing inner personality. So, with that, we will move to the next one, the last one today. Pranada, one who provides and consumes life. Pranada is one who gives life and takes away life. Prana is the life force in all beings, the vital energy which keeps the beings alive. The Lord bestows this vital energy to all beings. He is the creator. He creates beings to experience the fruits of their previous actions, which is called prarabdha. Essentially, it's a balance sheet of what is ordained has good deeds and not so good deeds, and the culmination of it is what leads us into getting what we called in our previous discussion about rebirth. Is it's not a punishment, but it's a second chance, a third chance. The exam never ends. That's a good part for us to do this fulfillment journey, go from quality and agree to harness ourselves to move towards sorry, from quantity into quality. So with that, we will go in.